Salutations and greetings, EgoHackers. My name is Ben, and welcome to today's video where we'll be discussing the cognitive function known as TI, or Introverted Thinking. TI is an internal, logical processing cognitive function that is used by 8 of the 16 types. The 4 FJs, the ENFJ, ESFJ, INFJ, and ISFJ, and the 4 TPs, the ENTP, ESTP, INTP, and ISTP, are all the TI users. A user of a cognitive function, whether it be an NE, FE, or TI user, simply means that they use that cognitive function within the top 4 slots of their mind. TI users are all about what they think, whereas TE, extroverted thinking, is aware of what other people think and believe. Introverted thinking is aware of what I think and what I believe. TI is also a source of personal integrity. TI users are aware of logical inconsistencies when it comes to other people's actions and intentions. And mature TI users are aware of their own inconsistencies and hypocrisies. A sharp and effective introverted thinker then wields a double-edged sword, one side for them and the other for everyone else. So how does TI work? TI breaks apart bits of information into smaller parts and processes them individually through an if-then logical sequence. Think of TI as a food processor that shreds the incoming input into smaller bite-sized pieces. If this is true, then that is true, is the most basic and foundational process that propels TI forward. Each piece of a TI user's logic builds on top of each other, like pieces of Legos being assembled into a complete structure. Eventually, as the TI user processes through enough information, they can rebuild the individual shredded pieces back into a logical, whole structure. TI users need an audience, even if that audience is themselves. TI users want, and at times need, to be listened to. Because TI is an introverted source function, it needs to express itself, just like a hot spring needs to release water. As TI users think out loud, preferably with an audience, though sometimes just speaking aloud will do the trick, the TI user begins to have a better grasp on what they actually think, and what the logical implication of their newfound thoughts are. TI is like a miner using a pick to slash and cut through the dirt, looking for the diamonds in the rough. Sometimes TI won't be able to fully articulate a stance until it finds one of the nuggets of insight it's searching for. TI users also seek out TE users, who provide the complementary input for their TI to sort through and process. Think of a TE user as providing the plot of land for the TI user to dig through and find the nuggets of value within the data or research that the TE user provides. TI users don't mind if you disagree with them. In fact, disagreeing with the TI user in the right way can get them to like you even more. The key is to first listen and make sure you fully understand the TI user's perspective. They love it when you ask them questions to clarify their thoughts. If you disagree with the TI user, you will have a lot more success if you ask questions than make blanket statements. So instead of saying, "I think you're wrong," or "I disagree with that," consider framing your disagreement in the form of questions. So say, "Have you thought about this?" Or "Have you considered this piece of information?" That's a much more effective way to get a TI user to change their mind than just saying, "No, I don't agree with that." So what is the path of growth for a TI user? A TI user's thinking is only as good as the quality of input the TI user receives. So like if a food processor only gets rotten, expired food to process, then the processed material will only be rotten and expired. TI users need to consistently go out of their way to find new, high-quality input to challenge their thinking and keep the tools of their logical processing sharp. This means reading new books and listening to new lectures and podcasts, especially about topics in which the TI user is either ignorant or they disagree with. If you want to learn more about how to develop your TI and make your TI as sharp as possible, head over to the members portal at csjoseph.life. Scroll down to the profiles for the types. They're labeled Discover the INFJ Psyche or Discover the INTP Psyche. There is an in-depth commentary and exclusive lecture on all the types. The danger for TI users is when they assume that every piece of input, every premise, and every slice of land they are given to mine are true. A TI user's job is to verify the premises that a belief system is built on, and unless they are well practiced in processing new input, they are likely to fall into the trap of assumption. The ideologies that have toppled over can be credited in large part to the TI users who found the weakness in the foundational structure of a belief. TI and acceptance. Looking at TI as an isolated function, we notice it as a blunt instrument, but through cognitive access, TI is linked to extroverted feeling, FE. So every TI user is also an FE user, just as every TE user is also an FI user. TI users are looking for acceptance with the connected FE function. They are naturally attuned to how other people feel, what other people value, and often have a few ideas on how to improve someone's life. TI users can be afraid of sharing their true thoughts as they believe their thinking will be received as harsh, and they will not be accepted or appreciated for their contributions. The best thing you can do for a TI user is encourage them to always be fully honest with you, holding nothing back. Though TI users often appear as blunt instruments, they are compassionate and are usually saying what they think because they think it's helpful. TI users can overstep, which is usually when they assume instead of verifying, which can be a source of pride and closed-mindedness for them. Call them out for this. If it's a TI inferior, so an ENFJ or an ESFJ, be extra careful because they are extra sensitive to being labeled as dumb or incompetent thinkers. But most of them would rather be correct and criticized than be enabled or be wrong. The trick for all TI users, though, is to be consistently honest with what they think. Though some will not accept them because of their bluntness, the ones who do accept them are much more likely to be accepting of them for life. If the TI user is honest in the long run, they don't have to be nearly as worried about being accepted. When they do find acceptance, it'll be because of who they are, not of who they're pretending to be. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video where we'll discuss extroverted feeling in depth.